Hello, brothers and sisters. This is Lisa, and I'm here to share some words by Oswald Chambers. The first one is titled, The Burning Heart. Did not our heart burn within us? Luke 24, verse 32. We need to learn this secret of the burning heart. Suddenly Jesus appears to us. Fires are set ablaze, and we are given wonderful visions. But then we must learn to maintain the secret of the burning heart. A heart that can go through anything. It is the simple dreary day, with its commonplace duties and people, that smothers the burning heart, unless we have learned the secret of abiding in Jesus. Much of the distress we experience as Christians comes not as the result of sin, but because we are ignorant of the laws of our own nature. For instance, the only test we should use to determine whether or not to allow a particular emotion to run its course in our lives is to examine what the final outcome of that emotion will be. Think it through to its logical conclusion, and if the outcome is something that God would condemn, put a stop to it immediately. But if it is an emotion that has been kindled by the Spirit of God, and you don't allow it to have its way in your life, it will cause a reaction on a lower level than God intended. That is the way unrealistic and overly emotional people are made. And the higher the emotion, the deeper the level of corruption. If it is not exercised on its intended level, if the Spirit of God has stirred you, make as many of your decisions as possible irrevocable, and let the consequences be what they will. We cannot stay forever on the Mount of Transfiguration, basking in the light of our mountaintop experience. Mark 9, verses 1 through 9. But we must obey the light we received there. We must put it into action. When God gives us a vision, we must transact business with Him at that point, no matter what the cost. We cannot kindle when we will. The fire which in the heart resides, the Spirit bloweth and is still. In mystery our soul abides, but tasks in hours of insight willed can be through hours of gloom fulfilled. And that's the end of the first one. The second one is titled, Am I Carnally Minded? Where there are envy, strife, and divisions among you, are you not carnal? 1 Corinthians 3, verse 3. The natural man or unbeliever knows nothing about carnality, the desires of the flesh warring against the Spirit, and the Spirit warring against the flesh, which began at rebirth, are what produce carnality and the awareness of it. But Paul said, Walk in the Spirit, and you shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. Galatians 5:16. In other words, carnality will disappear. Are you quarrelsome and easily upset over small things? Do you think that no one who is a Christian is ever like that? Paul said they are, and he connected these attitudes with carnality. Is there a truth in the Bible that instantly awakens a spirit of malice or resentment in you? If so, that is proof that you are still carnal. If the process of sanctification is continuing in your life, there will be no trace of that kind of spirit remaining. If the Spirit of God detects anything in you that is wrong, He doesn't ask you to make it right. He only asks you to accept the light of truth, and then He will make it right. A child of the light will confess sin instantly and stand completely open before God. But a child of the darkness will say, "Oh, I can explain that." When the light shines and the Spirit brings conviction of sin, be a child of the light. Confess your wrongdoing, and God will deal with it. If, however, you try to vindicate yourself, you prove yourself to be a child of the darkness. What is the proof that carnality has gone? Never deceive yourself. When carnality is gone, you will know it. It is the most real thing you can imagine, and God will see to it that you have a number of opportunities to prove to yourself the miracle of His grace. The proof is in a very practical test. You will find yourself saying, "If this had happened before, I would have had the spirit of resentment." And you will never cease to be the most amazed person on earth at what God has done for you on the inside. And that's the end of that one. And the next one is titled Decreasing for His Purpose. And this is also by Oswald Chambers. He must increase, but I must decrease. John 3, verse 30. If you become a necessity to someone else's life, you are out of God's will. As a servant, your primary responsibility is to be a friend of the bridegroom. John 3, verse 29. When you see a person who is close to grasping the claims of Jesus Christ, you know that your influence has been used in the right direction. And when you begin to see that person in the middle of a difficult and painful struggle, don't try to prevent it, but pray that his difficulty will grow even 10 times stronger, until no power on earth or in hell could hold him away from Jesus Christ. Over and over again, we try to be amateur providences in someone's life. We are indeed amateurs, coming in and actually preventing God's will and saying, this person should not have to experience this difficulty. Instead of being friends of the bridegroom, our sympathy gets in the way. One day that person will say to us, "You are a thief. You stole my desire to follow Jesus, and because of you, I lost sight of him." Beware of rejoicing with someone over the wrong thing, but always look to rejoice over the right thing. The friend of the bridegroom rejoices greatly because of the bridegroom's voice. Therefore, this joy of mine is fulfilled. He must increase, but I must decrease. John 3, verses 29 through 30. This was spoken with joy, not with sadness. At last they were to see the bridegroom, and John said this was his joy. It represents a stepping aside, an absolute removal of the servant, never to be thought of again. Listen intently with your entire being until you hear the bridegroom's voice in the life of another person, and never give any thought to what devastation, difficulties, or sickness it will bring. Just rejoice with godly excitement that his voice has been heard. You may often have to watch Jesus Christ wreck a life before he saves it. Matthew 10, verse 34. And that's the end of all these words. I pray you all have a beautiful day in the Lord. God bless each and every one of you, and I will see you either next video or in the air. Bye-bye.